In the dark world where I was blind, I was forced to be mates with a vampire, who is my archenemy and the father of my child. But when my vision miraculously returned, I saw the truth of this world, and I saw his true face. The one I once thought was my brother now has become my most deadly enemy. Chapter 31. Emerald. Drip. Drops of water. The sound of a sewage. This reminds me of the first day I went to Ryder's pack. Someone wants me. I just don't know who. Not yet. They didn't chain me. Maybe they saw me as weak. The bars, though, were made of silver. I touched it and it almost burned my hand off. I was now pacing at this point. I've been here for about a few hours. Night has already set in. I could tell by the way through the little bayed window how the wind had changed. In night, my skin would feel the night's light blow. In the morning, the dampness of the night would strike my nose. My throat was starting to get dry. I haven't had water all morning today. They haven't come for me. Not yet. This cell, it's left me with nothing but my own empty thoughts. Dylan. Seeing him now. Wait. Let me rephrase that. Thinking about him now. It still tears me. Every brick and piece of my imaginary wall I put up on that subject suddenly crushes when my mind opened up to him. Like now. KYA goes away. She doesn't want to talk about him. She's my wolf. She was way more connected to him than I ever was. I truly do miss him though. I miss his touch. I miss his coconut scent. I miss the way he made me feel. I miss the way he held me when I cried. I miss the way he made me laugh at his stupid 90s TV jokes. I miss that every Sunday we would watch those old 90s TV shows. I got my memory back. 2 words. Sayings. Jace is the one who did that for me. He told me the word. Dylan. His name, and it all clicked for me. To my agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He was the traitor. I didn't get it. I thought he was like my brother. You don't lie to family. You don't trick your family. You don't do that. I sighed in defeat and slid myself down the wall. Bring my knees to my chest. You just don't. My fingers tapped against the concrete and I swapped back the dryness in my throat. Then there was Ryder. My second chance at love. I thought at my rate I would never get one. They were rare, but the moon goddess saw I needed a second chance. I don't know why, but I can seem to find out about how we first met. That memory is still locked away from me. I've asked Ryder about it, but he says that we met at a party a few days after Dylan's death. He's hiding something, but maybe it's for a good reason. To my agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. They brought me back to the real, cruel world I lived in. I tilted my head a bit to the sound, my knees going away from my chest. The sound of them. I cringed hearing the creak of the silver door open. It's good to finally meet you, Emerald. The voice was sinister. It wasn't my father's voice. Maybe this is the man who he talked about. I stayed silent. I kept my head down, feeling his presence loom over me. Do you know who I am? He crouched down in front of me, and then I felt his cold hand pick up my chin. I gave him an emotionless face as he seemed to be studying me. Silent. Not much of a talker, are you? I shrugged and he chuckled lowly. It's rude not to respond, love. Your only flaw is that you're blind. You're not deaf as well. Who are you then? I pushed his hand away from contact with me. You really don't know. I guess you've lost your memory. But I know you have gotten a lot of it back. Question, how is it to see Jace's future? I gasped. So you're a stalker. And how do you know about that? He chuckled again. Well, first I allowed you to see that love. And second, I wouldn't call me a stalker. Just at a distance. Admiration. You were on packed territory, weren't you? Or did you use my brother to do your deeds? Are you a smart girl? I would have been detected if I stepped foot onto that wolf territory. He got closer to me as I kept my straight face. He came close to my ear. Because wolves can't sniff out a vamp at any time. My mouth parted in shock as he pulled away. The vampire. Who are you? What do you want with me? Wolves are so impatient at times. Especially the Lunas of the pack. Always needing. Always wanting. Mean. Me never you. You. I want this. I want that. The whining and complain. You guys act like your children. Enough with the stalling. Who the hell are you? What didn't I just say? I yelped, backing up against the wall even more. I'm sorry if I scared you. I felt my head start to throb. I groaned, rubbing my temples. I was taken to another place. The smell of metallic blood in the air. Someone was holding me. Wait, Ryder. I'm sorry if I scared you. I know everything seems scary, especially when you're in the dark. Allow me to be your light. Your protector. I was then put back in reality. The unknown vamp in front of me. What the hell was that? I shook my head. I guess I must have triggered a little memory there. Love, I am no love to you. Who are you? I want to know. He sighed, and then I felt his cold hand trace over my right shoulder, where my mark stood imprinted. My name is Ramon. Ramon, I gasped. You have his last name. Why do you have his last name? Well, if you hadn't triggered that memory. I'm your mate, supposedly. Dead brother. Chapter 32. Ryder ran a hand over my face, rubbing my temples. Why? So much crap is going on. Maybe I shouldn't have sent them both. Oh well. I'm already having Carter and my gamma interrogate him. Also keeping Ray at bay. I looked in the mirror of my bathroom, sighing. I was tired. Maybe some sleep would help. I groaned and made my back to my room. I slipped off my shirt and got on some sweatpants. I turned off the lights and found myself surrounded in her scent. It's only been a few hours and I'm dreading the fact I caught her in my arms. I held the pillow she had her head on and inhaled the scent, sending me to darkness. I was burning. The pain was unbearable. My body was sore and I couldn't move. My face scrunched up and my fist clutched. What the hell is happening? I started losing my breath, trying to catch it. My eyes flew open and went wide, searching around the room. My head was throbbing and my stomach turned. I ran straight for the bathroom, emptying the contents in the bowl. I threw up once more and it was blood. I threw up again and my head turned. The world spun and I gripped the side of the bowl. Then all of a sudden an unbearable pain struck in my stomach. I growled, gripping it, and fell to the floor. It hit me again, and by this time it was everything at once. I was shaking. I roared in pain for it. What the fuck is going on? I groaned and then the door flew open. I couldn't keep my eyes open. I blinked lazily a few times and felt hands go onto my shoulders. To my agent extraordinaire, aficionados, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, aficionados, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Don't close your eyes. Whatever you do, don't shut them. My senses heightened and my eyes stung, letting me know they turned yellow. Must get her. Dame, what's going on? I stared to get up and then fell right back down. Carson holding me steady. Come on, let's get you back to bed. I already got Doc, he's on his way. I nodded and kept the rising bile, swallowing it back down. My breathing went shallow and I felt like passing out. I stumbled onto the bed and howled. The pain getting worse every second. My fangs had already come out and I was mid-shift. Someone new came into the room. It was Doc. Oh my, he rushed over and then put a hand on my forehead. He hissed, pulling back. It's like he's fire rail. What the heck is wrong with him? Earlier he was vomiting blood. I couldn't keep my eyes open. The pain was unbearable. It was like a wolfsbane drink, slowly eating away at your insides. I think something is happening to you, Luna. These are the symptoms of the mate bond starting to break away. My eyes widen. Get her. I started to get up and then gripped the dresser as I almost stumbled to the floor. I felt Carter hold me up to support me. I need to. Go, please. What the hell is happening to her? Ale? I glanced up, wiping away the sweat from my forehead. She is, well. He bit the inside of his cheek. Suddenly I gained some strength and ran out of Carter's arms, slamming the doctor into the wall behind him. He winced and a crack went up the wall. What is happening to my mate? Tell me, coward. He gritted his teeth and then narrowed his eyes. It's best not tell you or you will kill us all. Right now I need you to tell me who is doing this to her. I don't know who is here. Are you keeping something from me? My grip on him tightened. Carter moved behind me, and then Doc put up his hand. I have no idea who at her or I would have already told you. My loyalties lie with you, Alpha. But no one outside the pack other than Jace and Alpha Jarl would have information about Emerald. Jarl is working for someone. It has to be someone that is directed to you another pain. My grip on him loosened as I almost fell to the floor. I leaned against the wall and groaned, losing my grip on him. I don't know. Anyone could have took her. I've touched every pack. I ran towards the bathroom and pewed. Again. I felt weak. My hands started to shake. I don't know. I don't. Eventually everything went black. Pain overwhelming me. Emerald, he was done with me. Tu es agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Done. I slowly rocked back and forth, my sanity taken. Something else taken. My throat was dry. I had mucus tracing down my back. I was sore. I kept whispering to myself, thinking it would help me, to keep me safe in my darkness. I needed him. Tu es agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I need him. The man let me go. When he was done, he left me in the middle of nowhere. I had to find Ryder, but he's going to be so mad at what I did to him. So mad. A gust of wind had blew on my body. I turned wolf, trying to get in connection with KYA. It's a pack, not Ryder's but an allied one. Go listened and started to limp walk. I picked up my speed, trying to get there quicker. I fell down, whimpering, and got back up. I have to go. I have to keep going. A certain power burst through me and I ran. I kept running and then new sense. It was full of people and they weren't tense. I mean, who wouldn't a random wolf running through their territory? I stumbled as someone had tripped me. I yelped and then someone came before me. Luna Emerald. Is that you? I barked loudly in response and then I felt hands pick me up. We need to get in contact with Blood Moon Pack. Contact Beta Carter. Based on her condition, Alpha Ryder is not in great shape. Chapter 33. Ray, we just sat there. It's been probably a few days. No food. Just water. I laid against his chest as he leaned against the wall. He played with my hair a bit, twirling it in his fingers. Sometimes they would take him out. Ryder would never let me go that far into the dungeon, but it existed. My breath went shaky, feeling myself shiver in the cold atmosphere. Jace pulled me closer to him, warmth coming from him. I'm fine, Jace. Save your energy, he growled at my response. No, you're not fine, he then sighed. Look, I'm sorry. I pulled us into this mess. I didn't mean to. If I wasn't a rouge, everything would have been better. Different. Tears had glazed his eyes. It hurt me, my throat already tightening. This isn't your fault. It is not. Don't you dare say that. I gritted my teeth. He looked down at me and then I wiped away a straight air from his eye. We are both going to get out of here alive. I can promise you that. He gulped and then gently yet passionately. I was a bit shocked at first and then responded, melting into the kiss. I felt myself sit on his lap, facing him, our lips never coming undone. Dominant. He gained it first. With inhuman speed we flipped and he pushed me up against the wall. My held his hair, tangling in it as I heard him groan. Our lips came apart and his mouth found its way down my jaw onto my collarbone. He was gently sucking in my skin and I melted at the feeling, trying to hide a moan from coming out of my mouth. He then stopped, looking at me, his eyes yellow. Let me mark you, his wolf was out. But what happens if you die? What happens if we both die? I don't listen. I don't care. Not anymore. I don't care about Ryder. I don't care if he slashes me with a whip. I don't care if he sends 1,000 men to torture me slowly. The only thing on my mind is you, my love. Yes, a shaky whisper. Yes, what? You can mark me, my wolf has come out. My eyes stinging. He showed a bit of teeth, smiling and nodded. I'm sorry if it hurts, he whispered, closer to my ear. He smashed his lips back to mine, savoring the moment. He released, then went back to my neck, to the position where he would mark me. I then felt his canine skim over the area. I gasped and then held onto his shoulders as teeth sunk in, gasping at the pain. Then it was unexplainable. Desire filled me and legs felt like they were swiped from under me. He released and that I fell limp in his arms, my eyes drooping down. I'll be better when you wake up, surrounded by his warm thigh, drowned into darkness. To my agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Cold hands on my skin, gripping my arm, shaking me, maybe trying to wake me up. My eyes blinked open and widened at the sight of Hurem. She started crying and I got up, feeling my strength come back, grabbing her and putting into my chest. She was sobbing at this point. I'm sorry, she held on to me, saying sorry over and over again. To my agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Why are you sorry? I'm sorry I didn't see this coming. I should have had a guard with you, or I should have stuck with you. It's my fault you were taken. She shook her head and started to hiccup. No. Ryder, I did something. Something bad. Why, you will hate me if I told you. She lifted up, tears still pouring down. I wiped them away with my thumb, looking at her with concern. Emerald, I could never hate you. Did something happen to you? What did they do to you? She shook her head again and getting out of my grip, backing away. Her arms seemed to be clutching her stomach, almost like it was hurting. Jen, you have to tell me what happened for me to understand. I won't hate you. I would never. I walked up and slowly pulled her arms away from her stomach. They all say that, Ryder. But with this news I will be a burden to the pack, a burden to my family, a burden to you. I rested my arms on her hips and she seemed uncomfortable, getting away from my grip. My eyebrows knotted together. She went back to clutching her stomach and turned away from me. Just tell me, please. I had to do things to get out of there. I didn't mean to. It was the only way. He said he would kill you. She spoke in desperation, her eyes pleading. Do things. What did you do? We had. She released her scent to me and all I could smell was him. I felt anger burning within me. He's touched what is mine. She broke down in tears, unable to speak any more to me. I couldn't speak, staring at her in shock. Chapter 30. For Remel, he was shocked. He stared at me and I could feel the anger radiating off of him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, then growling. The smell of the forest. Ryder, no. Please turn back. Turn back. Jace is dead. He's dead for selling you out. Dead. His voice boomed in my head. I whimpered and then scrambled towards the door. Emerald, get out of my way. There is something wrong here. No, he must have had a reason for selling me away. He must have. The growling and earthy smell got closer and closer. Why are you protecting him? He's my brother. Family stick together. No matter what. Is that what he told you? He made you sell your body like some whore. My throat stung. Everything stopped. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I scooted away from the door. Fine, you know what? Go kill him. Why should I care anymore? You never listen to me anyways. Emerald, don't be like that. He was whimpering. I sensed him crouch down in front of me. Ryder, please. Go do your alpha deeds. Be my guest. I got up, walking to the other side of the room, accidentally knocking into a table. I winced and then he was still there. I told you to go, Ryder. Go, fine. Then he was gone. Jace. I just watched as she was asleep in my arms. She was driving me crazy. She was mine now. To my agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Bestie, he's so I was jealous I could make the decision on my own. Whatever helps you sleep at night, kiddo, you care. He started to talk under his breath, probably cursing my out. I chuckled, just listening to her breaths. Then growling. I went tense and heard the sound of keys. Someone was coming this way. Ray. Wake up. I started to nudge her awake. She blinked, her beautiful, sparkling eyes open. What is it? She then looked behind me, her eyes widening. I turned my head, seeing him. He barked and the cave-like structure seemed to vibrate. I held on to Ray tighter as the cell door opened and Ryder stepped in. Anger burned through his yellow eyes, his hair on his back sticking up, claws out. I growled silently. Both Ray and Ryder's hearts slowed. They talking. Ray, get me in. I linked her as she let me through. To my agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I really don't, Ray. Your mate or not, he's a dead man walking. Don't talk to what's mine that way. His ward tilted his head and got tense. He cut me out and then, with inhuman speed, he was already over me, paws on either side of my head. He snapped at me and I managed to dodge his blow to my head. Ryder, stop. Please. He was about to snap again and then a wolf pushed him off. It gripped at his back. Without a second last, he threw the wolf off and it crashed at the wall. I looked over and Ray was gone from her spot. Wait, Ray. I rushed over as she shifted back human. Quickly I pulled off my shirt and putting it on her. Hey, where were you hit? She clutched her still bandaged stomach. I put my hand on hers and she immediately relaxed. You already marked her, haven't you? I gulped. Ray grabbed my hand, intertwining my fingers with hers. Yeah, he did, meaning if you actually cared about me, you wouldn't hurt me or it will hurt me. Hurt was in his eyes. He then gritted his teeth. What was your reason then? Selling away my mate, I narrowed my eyes at him, staying silent. Tell me. I flinched a bit at the tone. It was to save your sister. He stopped and then Ray looked up at me. What? I turned my attention back to Ryder and stood up. I saved your sister. I know for you. You care about Emerald more. But I needed to protect my mate. Do you even know what they did to her? Listen to me. I didn't want my Emmy getting hurt. My father told me that they wouldn't hurt her. If I didn't comply, they would kill Ray. He turned away, running a hand through his hair. Do you hear me? They would have killed her. Again with inhuman speed, he slammed me up against the wall and held me by my neck. I winced and then he tightened his hold. They didn't hurt her. They didn't hurt her. Are you kidding me? He touched her? She is mine. To my agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. No one else's. They touched her in ways only I was supposed to touch her. I was lost for words. He released his hold from me and looked down. He went limp in my arms, starting to tip over. I grabbed him by his elbows, holding him up. Ryder, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I looked over at Ray as the words left my lips. There was fear in her eyes. Silent tears ran down her cheeks and she wiped them away. I need to find her. I have to go. She then ran. Chapter 35. Emerald. A few days after the incident, I felt sick to my stomach. I stared down in tears looking at the medical report. Pregnant. It's stated in big letters. The doctor was drowning and trying to comfort me. This was supposed to be just a checkup to make sure I was okay after everything that had happened. Do you want me to call Ryder? I shook my head, wiping the tears off of my face. Ray. I nodded softly at this. I can't tell Ryder. Not now. The doctor went into mind. Lincoln contacted her. I was scared. I was still waiting on the test results, but I knew already. It's not Ryder's. It can't be. Even when we were trying, I would have known right away. It's not his. The doctor went back to doing the blood sample testing. The door has opened with Ray coming in. What's wrong? She looked at the tears rushing down, trying to wipe them off for me. The doctor handed her the paper. She must have been reading it. O.N. Congratulations. You and Ryder were trying, weren't you? Don't be sad. I shook my head, whimpering. The machine made a beeping noise and another paper came out of it. The doctor sighed, reading it over and handed the paper to Ray again. She suddenly hugged me and I broke down into sobs. I'm so sorry, Em. Everything going to be okay? It's gonna be okay, she tried to soothe me. I couldn't think straight. Ryder's going to be so mad when he finds out it's not his pup. Have you told anyone? No. I can't. I am such a burden. It's not your fault. It's not at all. We have to tell Ryder. It's the right thing to do. I can't. I can't. I started to sob again. Do you want me to tell him? I thought about it for a minute. I nodded softly and whimpered again. To my agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Stay here and rest, okay? Drink some water. She handed me the glass of water and I sipped it. My hands were shaking. She sighed and left the room. I heard a knock on the door and jumped, getting scared. I quickly got up, locking it. I could sense Ryder through the door. After slamming the door on his face and sliding down the door, he spoke. Ray told me everything. Please. Just let me in. We need to talk about it. I stayed silent. My fingers found their way again, tapping against my leg. It was a sense of calming me almost. You know, I'm just gonna break the door down, I sighed. Getting up, I opened the door and then he immediately wrapped his arms around me in embrace. My nose found the crook of his neck and I sighed in content. He held me tighter and we stayed there. We are keeping the baby, I heard him whisper. I immediately wriggled out of his grip and stepped back. What? Listen, I'm not going to force you to do anything, but we cannot kill the baby. Oh, Ryder, it's not your poo. I know, and that makes me angry as all hell. I wouldn't go in the dining hall as all the furniture is broken, but I don't want you getting hurt. I know vampire werewolf children can kill their mother. They drain you, and if you were to get rid of it, it would kill you. I am willing to risk that to keep us. I'll be strong. No, you won't. I'll raise it as my own. It shouldn't have to suffer because of its father. I'll be a better one for it. I swear. What about Ramon? What if he finds out? He will never find out. I will have you close to me, and I will protect you. The wolves here will all protect you as you are their Luna. They will protect this child as well. I love you, Gem. Nothing will ever change that. Not everything will be okay then. He chuckled lightly. Everything will be okay, my Gem. I then ran, jumping into his arms, wrapping my legs around his waist. He stumbled a little, but I felt him hold at my legs to support me. He laughed, then spun me around, making me squeal. Maybe it will be okay after all. Maybe. Chapter 36. Ryder, it's been 2 months. 2 months since everything happened. I still don't like this idea of keeping it. Same, remember what we talked about. The child dies. She dies. Still, I hate this. I'm going to kill Ramon. You'll have to beat me to it. I shut him out and then I heard a scream. To my agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I ran over to where I heard her and then saw her, crying hysterically. Baby, what's wrong? She started to hiccup and then her fist slammed down. Jordan. Ate all my cookies. I glanced up and saw him walk in, the cookies in hand. I rolled my eyes and stood up. Jordan. Cookies. Now he threw his hands up. She is overreacting. These were mine. I narrowed my eyes at him. I only wanted one. She ate 15. She gasped. You calling me fat? Both her eyes widened as she started to sob again. See, now look what you've done, Ray. Then ran into the room and then stopped in the doorway. 3rd time. Hormones, I mouthed to her. She rolled her eyes and giggled. And it's not because of my hormones. She screamed. Wait, how did you? A woman always finds out, boys. To my agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Ray then walked over to the sobbing Emerald and patted her back. Do you want me to kick Jordan in his balls? She stopped crying and sniffled. Why, yes, she responded. I grinned and then jawed and rocked the cookies and then booked it, Ray chasing after him. I chuckled, walking over, grabbing the bag and then setting them in front of her. She reached out and found a cookie with her hand, eating it. Thank you. Why, it was like she wasn't even crying a second ago. She immediately calmed down, eating away happily. Damn hormones. Are you happy now? She nodded, taking another bite. What if I say we are going on a date tonight? You and me. Me and you. Alone for once. I pulled at her waist, making her squeal, and sat her on my lap. She wrapped her arms around my neck. I'm okay. She cheered. Suddenly she then frowned. But all my dresses are too small. Unfat now I out my hand on her stomach, rubbing circles on it. Baby, you not fat. It's the baby that's fat, she then gasped again. Why, you called my baby fat? Here we go again. What do you mean you got another letter? Emerald already went to bed and I was sitting in my office going through papers when Carter burst in. It was left at West Entrance. One of the guards who was posted there had it embedded into their chest. Well, get Jace. I need him to read it then, it doesn't have braille writing. It's addressed to you, he held it out. I took it from him and opened the envelope. It was written, and I knew the handwriting. Dear brother, thank you for taking care of my love. When will my son be born? It is a boy, am I correct? I want to see him. I want to take him home. Tell my love I will see her soon. I can't wait. Ramon. So the man had bite mark on the side of his neck. I crumbled the paper in my hand and then looked down. There is no way he's getting to my mate and my pup. How did he know it was a boy? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The day my pup is born I want guards stationed everywhere. I want patrols equipped with both vampire werewolf weapons. Am I clear? Sir, a vampire. Is there something you've done to anger them? Don't ask questions. Go, he then ran out. I looked outside towards the west and saw the medics carrying the man on a stretcher. A white cloth over him. This will mean more, brother. Enfold knew her. She's not allowed to die. She must be his true love. Ray, Jace and I all sat on the couch, watching the Titanic. What I heard it who she told me everything that happened. Why couldn't they just share the piece of what I mean? Come on. I know it's cold, but get over it. I heard something crash. Now don't attack the TV. It did nothing to you, Ugg. Let me at it. I hate these stupid movies. I giggled and got up. I could already tell Jace was holding her. It'll change the movie. You whine more than me and I'm pregnant, knowing way she probably rolled her eyes. I skimmed my hand through the selections. Hey, which one is there? Then there was this weird feeling. Water trickled down my leg. Did I just pee myself? It wasn't pee. Emerald, something wrong. It was Jace's voice. Then Ray gasped. Her water just broke. We need to get her to the hospital now. Wait. Where's Ryder? They already were running me through the hospital like madmans. The doctor's running her sides. We contacted him, he should be on his way, Ale assured me. Then a sharp pain in my stomach. I cried out, gripping the metal bars to my side. Her contractions are already starting. Get her to room 198. Ale went out of view and then ours pushed me into a room. Another pain and I screamed out. I was burning. God, this hurt so much. The door slammed open and in my limited vision, Ryder was there. He held my hand. Baby, it's okay. It's okay. I'm here. His voice was soothing. My hand that he held started to burn. I screamed again and wriggled out of his grip. Sweat was already starting to form on my head. All right, Ryder, you're going to need to hold her hand through this so it takes some of the pain away. No. Baby, what burns? He went to touch me again, but I pulled away from his grip. Ryder, are you not the father? He stayed silent and shook his head no. I nodded, went silent for a bit, until my next contraction I screamed again. All right, Emerald, you're going to have to do this alone. To our agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Push. Chapter 37. Ryder, her screams. That's all I heard. I couldn't be there. They kicked me out when they learned the truth. I kept pacing. Bullets to my heart as I heard her each time. Then all of a sudden it stopped. Her screams had died down. I enhanced my hearing and put my ear to the door. Nothing. But the low mumbling of Ale and the nurse in there. Then Emerald's shallow breath. I can't take it anymore. I opened the door and my eyes widened. Emerald was laying there, motionless. The heart monitor was still going for her. She just passed out, which was a relief. I then looked at Ale. He held a grim look. I looked down at the bundle he held in his arms and I rushed over. I put back the blanket to see the baby. Its eyes were closed and it was motionless. Is it? I looked down at the kid worryingly. It was silent. Oh no. I looked back at Emerald. She didn't move. She wasn't moving. No, no, no. No, please don't tell me it's dead. The heart monitor on Emerald started to dim down. Suddenly the baby started to cough and a sigh of relief washes over all of us. Her heart monitor went back to normal. The baby started to cry and the doctor passed him to the nurse who rushed the pup out of there. I walked over to the side of her and grabbed her hand. Hey, you did great. You're mom now. She stirred a bit and then her thumb ran across my knuckles. How's the baby? It's a 8-pound. Healthy. Baby boy. Have you guys decided on a name yet? I think we did. Well, may I introduce you, Mason Moon? My eyes widen at the sight. Emerald was cradling the baby. He was sleeping in her arms. She was caressing his face softly. She sniffed the air and then smiled. Hey, she patted the bed next to her and I steadily walked over. I cautiously sat down. Mace uncooled a bit and he snuggled closer to her. Dane seemed to go quiet and out of here as he would normally linger in my mind. How do you feel? I'm fine actually. I looked down at the pup and his eyes were open. They were a dark shade of red. All vampires had that eye color at birth. By age 4 it will start to go away, then they can control it. I frowned a bit. It shouldn't have been this way and I know deep down inside you regret me giving birth to him. I looked up at her, seeing straight daled on her face. No. It's not like that. Not at all. It shouldn't have been done the way it was done, even though she couldn't see. I gave her a tight smile. I then brought my hand up, wiping away her tears. There's sometime you're not telling me, is there? I may be blind, but I can still feel what you're feeling, Ryder. It's regret and discomfort. The feelings when you have not told truth. I got back the bitterness in my throat and stared down at the floor. I stayed silent. And then you ignore every time you know I'm right. I keep my secrets for a reason. My voice rose a bit. But I am your mate. You should be able to share those with me. It's for your own good. Nothing is for my own good anymore, Emerald. Just drop it. I stood up at this point. Mason began to cry at the change of tone and her face scrunched up. Get out. She tilted her head towards the baby, trying to get him to calm down. If you wish to tell your mate lies, then you may excuse yourself out the door. Fine, and with that I slammed the door shut. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nolben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I cringed at the noise of the door and then went to calm down Mason best I could. I ran a hand along his short hair and by his breath he seemed to have sighed in content. I hummed a bit in satisfaction and then a tapping noise. I seemed to have been coming from behind me, but all there was behind me was the bed frame, I'm sure of it. I was growling inside and suddenly I felt the need to hold Mason closer. Someone unwanted is here. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up and I sniffed the air. I clutched the baby closer. He's here. Did you not get my letter, my sweet? Is that why your hair is standing on end? His menacing voice ripped through the air. What letter? Well, it was a letter to your mate. I thought I told him to send a message through. How did you get in here? I can already tell he was grinning. Well, you know how influential I can be, love. But that's beside the point. I came to see my baby. I'm thinking of taking little Mason home. I straightened up and clutched him more towards my chest. He's going nowhere near a monster like you yet. You let him near my brother. Now, if I'm correct, he is a monster as well. You know nothing of Ryder. Now get out of my sight. Oh, the irony in that statement. He chuckled a bit and I sensed him sitting on the bed. His hand went on my leg. I scooted over a bit, loosing his touch on me. I felt disgusted. I felt dirty. But I am the father of Mason. Shame that you named him that name. Such a low, rank name. I would have preferred something of much higher class, such as Damon or Nicholas. Then your higher class should be compared to dirt then. I will not name my child such vampirish name. Oh, but his eyes are just like Daddy's now, aren't they? You wouldn't know that, but they are. Every time your mate looks into his eyes, he will see me. Every time Ray looks, she will see me. And every time the adults of this pack will look, they will see their truthful alpha. You will never be an alpha. Get over it. And this baby is mine and not yours. There is nothing you can do to take him away. Did Ryder tell you even the reason why he didn't want you to abandon my son? He came closer. Or did he lie about that too? My eyebrows rose up. So now you're interested? Stop the chit-chat. What is it he isn't telling me? There was a pause. Well, now that will be too easy now, wouldn't it? I needs a favor before I tell you, my dear. Name your price. At 100. Bring Mason with you near the western border. We can talk there, my love. And with that he left and Mason began to cry. Chapter 38. That night I got back to the Peck house. I went to bed angry. I knew he wouldn't care for Mason. How could he? A bastard child, but still mine. He was the one who convinced me to have the baby. What changed his mind? I placed Mason in our room and dropped him gently to sleep. I wish I could be able to see him. Maybe he didn't look like his father at all. Maybe he would look more like me. Maybe that would help. I put myself underneath the comforter and rested against the pillow. As I was about to fall asleep, I sensed him walking in. Ryder took an agitated sigh and I heard him taking off his shirt and going through a drawer. The bedside then dipped as he sat down on it. I pretended to sleep. Most of the time it was successful because all I had to do was make my breathe shallow. I heard him turn off the bedside table lamp and then he always got under the covers. I knew he was facing me. His hand caressed my face a bit. The warm tingling sensation pricked me a bit. The mate bond has been weaker ever since I was pregnant. I could still feel what he was feeling. I just couldn't sense where he was, if he was far or if he was hurt anymore. He sighed and then he spoke. I'm sorry I've been lying. I'm sorry, my love. Ever since you've been, I haven't been myself with you. You had my brother child, not mine. I thought I would have been your first and I'm sorry you weren't mine. The real truth is, and now I'm only able to tell your sleeping form, that you would have died if you lost the child. And I couldn't lose you again. I may hate the fact that a pup that is not mine is here in my room, belonging to my mate, but I will try. My heart stopped. For a second. He's just trying to protect me. I made a deal with the devil when he was just trying to save me. God, I'm so stupid. I have to tell him. I have to. Oh, Ryder, he jumped a hit when he heard my voice. I thought you were asleep. How long have you been awake? Ryder, he came. Who came? Right after you left, he came to see Mason. He wanted to take him. He wanted to take my baby. I cried out and sat up in bed. He reached over, turning in the light, and sat in front of me. Ramon came. How the hell did he get in? He climbed through the window. He wants my key, pup. He said to meet him at the western border at 8. Tomorrow. His heart seemed to slow and then he got up, walking towards the door. Stay here. I want you to lock all the windows and make sure no one gets in, or you mind link me. Keep Mason safe. He then ran out, the door shutting and locking it. I waited. It might have been an hour till he gently knocked on the door. I put Mason back down as he had fell asleep. I opened the door and he grabbed at my face, pressing his lips to mine. I groaned at contact, pulling him even closer to me. I didn't even know we were walking until the door slammed closed behind him. I heard the lock click and he pushed me up against the wall. He gripped my legs, lifting me up, his lips still fighting with mine. He then moved down towards my jaw, then to my... I pulled at his hair and groaned as he hit the sweet spot, nibbling on it. Once stayed in his hair as my other hand ran down his bare chest to his ABS. He groaned this time, playing with the hem of my shirt. He was still working on my neck, probably going to leave a few love bites. I was slipping out of his grip, but he slammed me against the wall again. A big thud sounding. Ryder. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You'll wake the baby. He squeezed at my butt and I moaned again. Then keep quiet, love, he whispered huskily. He then walked me over to bed. He trapped me in between his arms, kissing me again fiercely. He lifted the shirt over my head and stopped to stare. I wasn't wearing a bra. Immediately my hand went up to cover them, but he pulled them away. Don't you ever hide those from me. He put my hands above my head. I gasped as he started to kiss them and he growled. These are mine. No one else's. I whimpered a bit and his hand found its way to my shorts, playing with the waistband. I suddenly felt disgusted. My memories flooded back to that night with Ramon. I felt Ryder's hand take the waistband in his grip, slowly pulling it down. I slapped away his hand and pushed away from him. I grabbed a pillow, putting it over my chest, my back pressed against the headboard, getting my distance from him. Are you all right? His voice was full of concern. Oh, Ryder, I'm sorry. I just count the sting in my throat, meaning the waterworks were not going to hold much longer. Baby, did I hurt you? Tell me what's wrong. I sensed him coming closer, but I whimpered and curled up into a ball. He backed away and I relaxed a bit. I felt gross. I felt like the same feeling from 2 months ago was all over my skin. I started to rub my skin. Maybe it would get off. I started to rub faster. To my agent extraordinaire, aficionados. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The dirtiness isn't going away, stop, you're going to hurt yourself. He ghab bed at my wrist as my skin stung. No, I need to get it off. I need to get it off, you're safe. There's nothing there. Get it off of me. Please. He picked me up, running me into the bathroom. I heard the water go on. He placed me in the tub. Gently he grabbed a washcloth and stayed to wash my arms. I felt relief and sighed happily. Thank you, he then sighed as well. You're welcome, Jem. He then kissed the top of my forehead. Chapter 39. I woke up 5 times that night. 5 times. It was always Mason. He wouldn't stop crying. I had to feed him 2 times. The other times he just wanted to be held. Eventually I gave up and brought him in bed. Between Ryder and I, he stayed quiet the rest of the night and I finally got to sleep. Enthusiasm. In the morning I woke up unhappy. I was supposed to meet Ramon at the border, but after last night's events, how could I? Ryder probably sent out warriors to go and retrieve him. I heard Mason whimpering had I groaned, turning in bed, praying he doesn't start crying again. To my luck he doesn't. I stuffed my head in the pillow and then felt around. Where was the baby and Ryder? I thought they were. I got him this time. You look tired, I groaned in response. Slightly happy. Okay, buddy. Hashim Asen's cries had quieted and I heard Ryder start to hum. It was soothing. Even to me. He's out cold. Go back to sleep, babe, I nodded, snuggling closer to the blankets. He walked towards the bassinet, probably setting him down. He walked over and then wrapped his arms around me. My face had then found his neck. I took a deep inhale, getting closer to him. To my agent extraordinaire, aficionados. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He grunted in response. Can you hum me that lullaby you sang to Mason? He then chuckled. You want me to sing a lullaby for you to go to sleep? I nodded and I smiled lightly as he began to sing. It's to the side BTW. I started to drift off to sleep as he kept singing softly. I wrapped my arms around him, drifting into a peaceful slumber. I woke up when Ryder started to turn underneath me. Yes, underneath me. I had a leg draped over him as I had clutched his neck, keeping him close to me. One of his hands was holding me up at my rear and the other was draped over my waist. Isn't this a nice way to wake up? I nodded my head and shifted a bit, getting comfortable. Shifting as well. I have to go though, a few more minutes, I mumbled back. No can do, Jem. I have to see if they caught Ramon yet. I sat up, basically straddling him. He gulped and his heart sped up. I guess I can stay a bit longer. His hands went to my waist and I shook my head. No, I think you should get going, KY. I attempted to come out but I stopped her. Let me at least tease him. He's always so on edge. Fine, but no. You know why I know? Mate, you're in a position where I don't think I should let you go. He'll then pulled me down close to his ear. Then don't, he growled and then his lips found mine. I groaned, easing into it. He went to turn us over so he was on top, but I pushed him back down onto the bed. He growled a bit again and I took his hands off my hips to the top of his head. My kisses went down to his neck and he groaned again. I then sighed, pulling away. You still have to go though. Shame. I let go of him, turning and standing next to the bed. You little tease, he growled out. In an instant he was next to me, trapping me in his arms. Then came close. This is not over, my Gem, I shivered, and he walked into the bathroom. I heard the shower go off and I giggled. I then left the room, Going down to get breakfast. Hey little sister, I felt Jace's arm wrap around me while he gave me a NUGGY. No, Jace stopped my hair. I giggled as he started to tickle my sides. I squealed, almost unable to breath. Stop. Attack. It was Ray. Jace got off of me and then heard a thud. He groaned a bit and I got up. She tackled him to ground. I caught my breath from laughing so much. Anyways, we weren't here for the tickling fights. I could already tell Ray was crossing her arms while sitting on Jace. Just by her tone. Where's little Masonette? Jace finished. My mouth formed an O. That's right, you didn't see him yet. He's in my room. Come steadily, I walked up the stairs and found my way into my room. I sniffed the air. Is Mason alone? Where's Ryder? I spoke as soon as I walked in. I was slammed up against the wall. I yelped and then felt his lips on mine. Of course I had to melt into the kiss. Stupid mate bond and hormones. My hands started to go down and he was still in a towel. Someone coughed behind us. I jumped a bit. Hey bro, listen, we were here to see a baby, not to see you guys make a baby. I started to blush a deep shade and Ryder growled. Fine, he then whispered something in my ear. You're lucky this time, I smirked and then walked over to the bassinet. Now who's ready to meet their auntie and uncle? Chapter 40. Ray and Jace decided that tonight they would take care of Mason. They said that I should get a break after the first night with him because the first was always the worst. I love you, Mason, but you're a nightmare. Ryder said that we could go out tonight and he also said to dress casually. Before she left, Ray said she gave me a navy blue romper with a belt. Annie actually came in and we chatted a bit while she helped me get ready. So how's Mason? Haven't seen the stinker yet. I smiled a bit. Yeah, he's good. Healthy and well, but a hustle at night, she hummed at my answer. Well, y'all babies are like that. Every now and then when I have to watch the kids, the moms tend to leave the babies to. Try feeding all of them at one time. And don't even get me started with the diapers. I giggled and then sensed her stepping back. They're perfect. You look gorgeous, Luna. Annie, I thought we discussed this. My name is Emerald. I know. You look so heavenly right now. I blushed at her comments and sighed in content. Yam Abi, I am. Her heartbeat slowed and then she jumped. Oh, it's time. He's waiting. She pushed me out of the room. Okay, I'm going. My hand crossed the wall as I found his scent. I followed in, then I ran into something. Their arms wrapped around my waist, catching me from falling. Are you falling for me, babe? If I could, I would roll my eyes. I scoffed and then I took his arm in my hold. Now take me where we are going. Ryder started to chuckle a bit. It was at least 1 hour into the car drive. We still weren't even there yet. My leg was bouncing up and down impatiently. To my agent extraordinaire, Mylan Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Where are we going? You've asked me this 1,000 times. Relax, it's a surprise. I wasn't a fan of surprises. All my surprises were bad things. I found my way and turned up the volume to the music. All the noise that filled the air was the song and the tires moving against the road. We both were silent, just listening. It wasn't an hour after, until we made a couple turns. My brow raised as he turned again, then had parked the car. We are here. The car stopped and we both started to take our seatbelts off. He came over, opening the door for me. We were in the human world. I tilted my head. Ryder, what are we doing here? He grabbed my hand, gently leading me up. He closed the door. Okay, listen, change of plans. No date. It's still a surprise though. Trust me, I gave him an unsure look. To my agent extraordinaire, Mylan Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. I trust you. I could already sense him smiling. Do you know anything about this KYA? To my agent extraordinaire, Mylan Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. But it's gonna be so great, no help, you nope. I blew out the hair in my face and we walked into a building. It smelled weirdly clean. Like a hospital. Ryder, why are we at a hospital? He shushed me, leading me through as we turned various of corners. I groaned and kept going. We entered another doorway. We sat down. Now we have to wait a bit. Stay here, he then left, and then I frowned. I still don't get why we are here. He came back, a pep in his step. He lifted up my hand, helping me up. Some other man was standing there. "Hello, my name is Dr. Gordon. I'm optometrist. How are you today, Mrs.?" Moonlight gave a slight confused look. It's green, but a optometrist." He chucked bit. "Yes, I'm a doctor." I felt my breath stop. My jaw dropped. I felt my throat start to sting. "Ah, Ryder, is this?" Surprise. Dr. Gordon is in fact a werewolf and has helped many of us who were blind. "Baby, you just have to trust him." He gently grabbed my hands. I was on the verge of tears. I then found his face smashing his lips to mine. He tensed, then eased in. It was passionate. I forced down every emotion into it. He pulled away, resting his hands on my waist. What was that for? Because no one else would drive me hours away from home to help me. "You've done so much for me. You stuck with me through my shitty life, and even though Dylan died. I'm happy I found you. Ryder, I love you. I love you to gem. That's why I will stop at nothing to help you." I pulled him close and hugged him, slightly crying into his shoulder. Tears of happiness. Kia was jumping around excited. She kept screaming and hollering until I blocked her. "Now, Ms. Green and Mr. Moon, please follow me to my office to discuss what needs to happen." I nodded, wiping away the tears. Ryder and I walked hand in hand into the office. Chapter 41. 3 months later. "Mason, can you say mommy?" Ryder and I made a bet on whose name he would say first. He stared to say something, and both of us leaned forward, trying to listen. "KKs." He squealed when he said something, going into a fit of giggles. I slumped down. "OCM." Ryder groaned, and I heard him bang his head against the table. "We let him hang out with Jace way too much." I giggled a bit, hearing so much defeat in his voice. "Oh, but you encourage him." I nodded my head. I then was lifted into the air. I squealed as Ryder bounced around with me on his shoulder. He laughed and I screamed, holding onto his torso. "No shit." Me like why I felt myself go red, and then he turned me around, setting me on the counter. I tilted my head down and adjusted my mask a bit down. His hand then found my chin and tilted it back up. "Hey, do you mind if we practice a bit? Like the doctor said." I frowned instantly and bit my lip. But every time it hurts." "You know I'm not ready for that, Ryder. I'll be here for you. If it really does hurt, you can put the mask back on." I sighed and then nodded. I reached behind and doing the knot that was there. I put the cloth on my lap and sighed. His hands found mine, softly caressing them. "Now try to open. Can you turn down the lights then?" He got up and I heard him flick the switch. He came back over, taking the same hold on me. "Whenever you're ready," I heard Mace uncooing and his little hand hitting what seemed the table. I then took a deep breath, starting to shake a little. "Daddy, I'm scared." I stared down as my tiny, shaking body clung to the tree. Dylan and I thought it was a fun idea to see who can get to the top of the tree and back down the fastest. Of course he won, like always. Meanwhile, me being who I am got stuck. I was 11 at the time. "It's okay, princess, come on, daddy's got you," I whimpered. He was so far down. I shook my head and the ground seemed even farther now. "Emmy, I swear to God, if you don't come down, I'll eat all of the cookies." My eyes widened at his response. "No, Daddy, he's not being fair. This is scary." I then heard a crack of the branch. I screamed as the branch gave way and I started to plummet to ground. I felt someone catch me and we both tumbled to the floor. Both of us groaned and I got up to see me laying next to them. "You're welcome, Dill," and then turned over, her triton on his face. My eyes then opened, maybe for a split second, until the burning pain came back. I bit my lip, trying not to let a scream come out. I gripped his hand tighter, tears already blinding my vision. It was red. The room was dimly lit. The walls were red with a black outlining. Steadily my eyes traveled over to the man right in front of me. He was the man I saw as I drowned, many, many months ago. I gasped, taking in his features. His jawline was sharp on his heart-shaped face. There was faint scars there as well and a slight stubble of beard on his chin. That's what stuck me. The deep, dark brown, a milky tone of a brighter brown around the pupil, spiraling out. His lips started to quiver a bit, unable to find words. Tears had already glazed his eyes. My pale hands then went up, finding his cheek and rubbing them away. He leaned into my touch, closing his eyes. The man then opened his eyes again, staring at me. I can see the man was speechless. He then brought me closer with his hand. I leaned in, my eyes closing again. To my agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. A kiss couldn't hold as much as this one. Slow, steady. Both of us pulled away at the same time. My eyes opened again, meeting his gaze. You're beautiful, and you really are. I blinked at him and smiled. One lie. TDY. I stared at the toddler, who squealed in his chair. My eyes widened and slowly I got up. I walked over to him, staring at his features. He looked up at me, happiness in his blood red. To my agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. My mouth gaped. My baby happy tears had pricked my eyes. I then took him out of his chair and held on to him. He started to clap and giggled. I tossed him up in the air and caught him laughing again. I then stared up at the man. My man. To my agent extraordinaire, am.丨Blind, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'm not blind anymore. He then engulfed us into a hug, spinning us around. That night we had a grand celebration. Everyone was dancing, smiling, laughing, having fun. Even though I still had to wear the mask because later I learned that bright light still affected them. Ray and Jace are expecting a pup in another 3 months. When they told us, I thought Ryder was going to fight Jace, but instead he laughed and hugged both his sister and Jace, which of course surprised me. Everything was finally normal. Some of the pack members had brought some gifts. I was at the end of all of it when I came to a black envelope. One of the warriors handed it to me. I tilted my head a bit and then held my breath. I opened it and took out the piece of paper. I unfolded it, but it only held one word. I stared at it in utter confusion. Baby, what's wrong? Ryder looked at me and I gulped, staring back down at the word, written in rough handwriting. And thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode of the story, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to get notifications for updates.